we were talking about how he dealt with pain patients. He was a pain doctor. And he was a little guy. He was wearing a suit that had shoulder pads that were out to here. They were so big that they bent, right? Because his shoulders didn't fill out the suit. And he had a very nasty disposition. He didn't like his patients. He didn't like his work, but he made a living doing it. And he stood out, right? Let me think of someone else who stood out. I can remember someone who stood out because he had an incredibly positive sense of humor, and he made the group feel happy. So when he talked, people breathed a sigh of relief and got calm. So if I'm running a group and the group starts out a little tense, when this person was in the room, he calmed them down. He calmed them down. So they're strange how you remember things about people and how you want to be remembered and what you're going to emphasize. And so it's, how do you pronounce your name for me, if you don't mind?
Yeah, Michael. Michael sounds good.
Oh, okay. So I wasn't sure if it was Michelle. No, Michael. Okay. One of my favorite names, by the way. So, Michael, you've been doing this podcast now for several years, yes?
Yes, yes, correct.
Okay. So, were you willing to do an experiment so we can look at your personal brand, for example?
Let's do it. That sounds like fun.
Okay, so what I want you to do, and I'm going to take some notes on this piece of paper here. I'm going to ask you the question, who are you? And when I ask you that question, you're going to fill it in as many times as you can. And, they might include things like your credentials or something about you. You know what? Ask me the question first. I'll demonstrate for a second.
Okay, so Sharon, who are you?
I'm a redhead. I'm a woman. I am a woman. I'm someone who loves to laugh. I'm a psychologist. I'm a wife. I'm a stepmother. That was supposed to be a joke. I'm a comedian at moments. And now you're going to see my pace is slowing down. Okay, so I've told you that, I'm a homemaker, I'm a lousy cook, I'm a good decorator. So I can be telling you some things that are very specific. But then you say, okay, that's great, but I want you to fill that sentence in for another minute. Okay? Okay,
Oh,
so ask me again.
okay, so Sharon, who are you?
I'm someone who thinks a lot. I dream every night, a lot of dreams. I love to invent things, whatever they are. Could be a new way of putting something in the soil, or it could be, a new technique for inviting people to tell me a story. I'm a writer. Um, uh, I'm a lover of life. Um, I'm playful. So if you notice now they're changing a little bit. So okay, now it's your time. So Michael, okay. So just rapid fire, who are you?
So I'm a technical recruiter. I'm a father. I'm a husband. I'm a son. I'm a morning person. I'm a wine lover. I'm a person who likes to be productive. I'm a manager. I'm a person who likes to help other people. And I guess now I'm slowing down because this is harder than it looks like. But I like to push through. I'm a person who likes to persevere, even if things are tough. I'm a person who likes healthy lifestyle. I'm a runner. Oh, wow. Then, with some practice, this gets easier.
There you go. Keep going. Keep going.
I'm a YouTuber. I'm an author. I'm a driver. Wow, awesome. Well, I actually didn't even know, when you asked me for the first time, I just thought about the occupation, like who am I? I'm the technical recruiter. And then I started thinking, what else? What would I do? Who am I to other people? I'm a friend, by the way. Nice.
Very, very good. Okay, and so now, so we have that information, and now I would like you to imagine someone who knows you very well and who thinks highly of you. And do you have that person in mind?
Yes, my wife.
Okay, what's her first name?
Her name is Martina. Martina.
Marquina?
Martina.
Marquina. So, okay, so Marquina. Marquina, you look very good. You look very good today. And so, Martina, what words would you use to describe Michael?
So I should respond as Martina, right? Um, he's crazy. I'm sure she would say he's crazy. He is too optimistic. He is too ambitious. He never gives up. He loves to spend time with the family and with kids. He's hardworking. It's interesting now when I'm thinking about it from the other angle.
And so, Martina, you heard the words that Michael used to describe himself, and you thinking about how you see him. If there was one word, if you were introducing him to a group and you only got to say one word about him, aside that he's your husband, what one word might that be?
That would be, I guess, a person who never gives up. I'm not sure what's the noun, but that would be the kind of the description, like a person who is like
Yeah,
like
that's perfect.
perseverance on the steroids.
Right. So if I were looking to work with someone in this realm, who's going to help me with my career. And, I'm a technical person and I'm looking for something to use my technical skills. And I've been high up in the organization, but now I'm moving into something else. I want someone who's perseverant. I want someone who's going to persevere and help me and not just, go through the exercises, but that would make you special to me. And I would reach out to you because you are Michael who perseveres,
Mm-hmm.
right?
That's a good one. That's a good one. And do you think this should become also visible somewhere online? I mean, as a part of the personal brand, like, hey, this is the person who is like who, well, like what's the adjective? Like the perseverance, like person who never gives up.
So you might have a little story on your blog, on your website. So on your website, we've got, um, Michael, the something or other, I'm not sure what the word is right now, would have to work on it, but you persevere, you never give up. You never give up on your clients. And then you have like 3 stories about clients that you helped, get through some difficult changes. They lost their job because of, this thing, or they were at the top of what they do and they wanted to do something else. And it's hard to do something better when you're already at the top. And so now what do? And you persevered until you found that magical placement for them that could help. And so you have some stories on that. You have, some content that we write about it. You have a bunch of blog posts that they can go to from your website, but your website is about perseverance
Mm.
and persevere with them. You are that caregiving, hardworking, persevering helper that's going to make sure that they get what they need.
Well, that's very interesting. That's very cool. And as this becomes a part of the personal brand, what are some other ways that you've seen people kind of use or to communicate the strength? Like, do we call it a strength, or
Sure.
how do we label this this strength or part of the personal brand, a core of the brand?
And so there are a number of different things you can do, and there's been so much written about it. Most important is that you're consistent with what that theme is. And so everything has to be consistent, like the look of your website, the whole idea of persevering, and what does persevering look like? I would have all kinds of graphics that look like perseverance, that look, that hardworking, they're going to get the job done. Whatever it is, you get the job done. It's almost like you're this amazing cleaning product. They can, clean up whatever that mess there is, except that you're building, you are taking people's strengths and helping them get stronger. You are helping them identify their goal. And this is what you do. And you persevere with this until you get the answer. You help them identify their goal. Well, you say you want a different career in this area. What does it look like? Tell me a story about your new job, your new career. What's it like? Where are you? What are you doing on the day that I come visit you? What's going on? Are you by yourself? Do you have a whole office? Do you have a secretary right there who's taking care of you? Do you have different kinds of assistant? Do you have to go and make different, visits to different corporations? Or do they come to you? Or is it all online? And so you get all the details of that. Now you know, okay, that's who he is. Well, let's take a step back in time to a week before that date. What was happening then? And you step them back in time until you get a timeline of where they are today and where they're going to be a year from now, 6 months from now, 2 years from now. And you have a path that they're going to follow. And as you're going up this path, they're going to stumble. And then there'll be interventions that you do to help them when they stumble. But that's your expertise. You know how to persevere to get them to that goal and help them through the whole path, the track, and the problems. That's what you're about. And nobody can do it as well as you can because you're a hardworking guy. You're very serious about your work. You love your work and you get the job done. You persevere. And so everything on your website, you said you wrote a book. What's your book about?
It is for technical recruiters about how to screen technical candidates and how to become freelance technical recruiters.
So that's a great book. Maybe you have another book on that highlights some successes you had where you persevered and helped these people have wonderful new careers. And so you have your book, and one of the things that we've learned, and I say we because I have a partner that I work with, we've learned is that people have more of a presence. They have more of that persona when they have a book. So if they write a book, and I'm sure you learned about how to do it, but if you get help from an excellent book writer to help you with it, you write it, but you have someone who moves you along, and then you've got your book. It's part of that whole thing. It's got the same personality as your website, and then you take the book and you introduce yourself through the book. And what they've discovered is that when you're an author, that gets you speaking engagements, that gets you, sometimes notoriety, sometimes just, popularity, because you've taken that step. You put it out there and you are there, and you want your personality in that book. Does that make sense?
Totally. I mean, there are different levels of the personal branding. A lot of the CTOs we are working with, they literally just have a LinkedIn profile, which is often outdated, and they can go to next level as you are describing, with properly outlined the strength, and then having some marketing collaterals out there, including a book. or maybe a podcast or a YouTube channel. And a lot of people may also struggle to actually get to the situation as you are describing it, because they may not really think about it strategically. They have a great job, they are well paid, so why to bother with some book which even costs some money to engage a ghostwriter. So with your experience, when is it a good time to kick off an activity such as this?
To write a book?
To either write a book or even to just start improving the personal brand, to start going through an
Immediately, because you have one, whether you know it or not. What do they say? Your brand is what people say about you when you're not in the room.
Mhm.
And so they're talking about you anyway, and hopefully they're talking more than less.
Mhm.
But you're creating that whether you know it or not. I mean, I joked about my red hair, but do you know that everybody knows me for my red hair? Everyone knows that I can go anywhere. They remember me because of my red hair. Do I want them to remember me for that? No, but but they do. And so you are making an impression every single day. We don't know what they remember about you at the moment. I'm not sure yet, except that you've got a very pleasant demeanor. Your smile is very engaging. You look like someone who would make them feel comfortable. And that's a huge deal in the field you're in, right? People need to feel comfortable. But you need to be working on that instantly, because if you're not, you are. And so you want to take control of it. You don't want your customers to define who you are. You want to be the one who sets that out so they know who you are. That's why you need to write your book. That's why you need to find an interesting topic that you find compelling yourself, that's going to be helpful to other people and for business, particularly in your realm.
Mhm.
And then in doing that, like as you were thinking about what you're going to be writing, you want to think about what your clients would like to know. Like, what's important to them? Why are they coming to you? Why you? What kind of help do they need? And you interview them, you do like a little market research project, and you talk to a dozen of them. And you say, listen, you've been incredibly helpful to me, and I know I've been helpful to you. You've told me that. So I'm just curious. I'm planning on writing about what people in your situation need to know, because they really want to help. And I know that sometimes when we have a meeting or something, you might not remember everything, but if I can hand you a book that has the answers right there, then you can look back at it whenever you want and refresh your memory. And, I can send you articles or whatever, but you have it there in a book. You feel it, it's tangible, it's substantial. What might you like to know? And they tell you, they start to tell you what's important to them, and you can, put that in your book.
Mhm.
So for example, if I wanted to, after we were talking today, and before we got off the phone, I say, so Michael, we talked about several different things, of hundreds of things we could have talked about. I'm wondering which of those kind of left you with an impression that you wanted to know more. And
Mhm.
so I invite you to tell me those things. And if I wanted to go off and write a book on just about branding, then I have the elements to put in it,
Mhm.
like a starting point.
Yeah, yeah.
That makes sense?
Yeah, totally. And it's great that you actually mentioned the importance of the topic itself, because a lot of the people from our community, the CTOs and the VPs of engineering, the directors of engineering, they are very technical
Right.
because they focus on their hard skills for the last 10, 15, 20 years. So often the first topic that comes to their mind is very technical, like the migration of an RDS database, or whatever, right? Which, like, that's probably not how they will build the personal brand. It's very technical. So how can they find a topic which is more relatable and more interesting for the target audience, for people who will be eventually deciding on jobs for them?
Well, for one, they've had a job for years, they had another job before, maybe go and interview some of those people that will be hiring them. Like find out, talk to them, or someone who knows who they are, find out what is important to them. Listen, we know we need that technical stuff, but even as you're talking and I'm listening to you say that, I'm thinking about, well, how does the brain work? We've got this technical information, but there are things that get triggered, right?
Mhm.
And they have to do with emotions, they have to do with imagination, they have to do with creativity. So even as they're solving a technical problem, the brain is working creatively to, well, what if we did this, and what if we did that, and what if we did this? Different things are happening. When that happens in the brain, what happens in the heart? Because the heart gets triggered also in different parts of the body. And so, oh my goodness, I hadn't thought about concentrating on my body, what's going on in my body. And so we're a whole person. We're not a head separated from the body. The whole thing's working. And so you want to know all those things that might be happening, because listen, the reason why it clicked that we're going to do this new technological advance is because somebody had this particular need. And it wasn't stated from a more human element because, we're so technical. But in fact, there is a human element in that. Then if we can marry those, then we can figure out what people need and how we can begin to talk to them about it. Does that make sense?
Very interesting, indeed, very interesting.
So tell me more about that. Like you had some ideas as I was saying that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just kind of thinking about, for example, a topic which kind of all the CTOs struggle with, which is the flexibility, right? Every CTO and IT people, they're just sitting by the desk every day and they are not moving. So instead of talking about a very technical topic like the migration of a database, could they focus on, for example, yoga for CTOs and something like this? Like it's relatable, it's something new, fresh. Like, is this something you have in mind?
I think that's fantastic. And also, I bet if you go and study yoga about thinking and about coming up with new ideas and about technical, I'll bet there are articles already out there somewhere. Somebody's written about that you can go and study and make better.
Hmm.
And so I think that's fantastic. That was a great idea.
Yoga for CTOs. I mean, how deep this can go, right? Is niching down.
Yeah, you really can.
Yeah, so
Uh,
interesting.
so
Um,
yeah.
yeah, what are some other ways, based on your experience, interviewing some of these more technical, I mean, more senior people, so C-level executives? What is more important during those interviews in the later stages?
So what's most important is that they're human. And lots of times you're spending time alone. The higher up you get, the lonelier you get. And so to remember that you're talking to real live human beings, and they're at the height of their career in some ways, but also it's kind of lonely and they're not sure what's next. They're not sure what they want to do next. And to be aware of their human qualities rather than, oh my God, this is a scary person, knows more than I ever imagined I'd ever know. Oh, can I talk to this person? To make them more approachable in your mind. Because it's not that they're not approachable, it's that they don't really know. This is not their strength to be the most personable person. And if you give them an opportunity to just tell their story, like here right now, like because I'm the guest speaker, I'm speaking.
Mhm.
But if we were just talking, the two of us, and I wanted to kind of get to know you better and help you tell your story, I would mostly be quiet and listening. And I would try to find a couple of questions that I know you would be very interested in, like ask you more about yoga, ask you more about, how you take care of yourself, how your physical requirements to stay healthy, and just let you talk. And then I say, well, gee, that's so interesting. Like, how did you come to that? What made you decide that that was, I mean, what happened? What took you away from peanut butter and jelly? How did that happen? Right? And you would be amazed at how stories unfold. And
Mm.
this,
Yeah, yeah. Well, this feels like a skill of itself on its own, just to lead the small talk, which is usually not the strength of the IT people. I struggle with this myself, you know, when there is someone to talk to, you know, then I'm just usually going the other direction. So how can people overcome this fear of small talk or the uncomfortable feeling? I mean, just a few questions that you just mentioned, I feel like I could ask them pretty much anyone.
good. That's excellent. So that's one way. And the idea is no matter who you have a story. Every human being has a story. You know what I would think about? You know how with fingerprints, like every single person in the world has a different fingerprint. And
Yeah.
to me, that's ridiculously remarkable. Like, really? Like, why isn't my fingerprint like yours? You know, like what makes it different? You know, we both have small faces, you know, so why aren't we similar in different ways? You know, like why can't we have the same fingerprint? You know, and or you know, like I recognize a European look, you know, like you don't look unlike my family. Like I can see that, like because we come from the same area, right? But everyone has a point of difference, many points of difference. And if you give them a chance to talk about it, like, Mr. Mr. Smith, wow, you know, I see you've been in this position for so many years and, you know, at the same corporation, or, you know, you've gone from one to the other to the other. How did that happen? I mean, have you ever talked to anybody about your story? I would love to hear what it means to you to have been on this journey. You've had a journey, and I love to hear about people's journeys. So Michael, tell me a little bit about your journey.
Hmm. Well, that's a great opener. That's a good one.
Well, tell me right now.
Yeah, I used to be a CTO myself. That was back in Thailand, where I lived with my family for 5 years, and then we moved back to Europe, where I started the Tech Recruitment Academy, and also the recruiting business. So that's why we are here today.
Yeah, and was there some surprise, you know, as you were on this journey and, you know, you thought you were going this way and then the path switched a little bit? Was there some surprise that took you in a different direction?
Yeah. In fact, we were running a startup. We raised $11 million from investors. It was a crazy growth. We went from 0 to 100 people at the office. So it was quite crazy. And then we realized that we are really just optimizing, very, little percentages. Like we were integrating fifth payment gateway just to decrease costs by 0.00, 1%, which was not very fulfilling anymore. So that's the trigger point for me to change the career to something more meaningful.
And how did you do that?
So that's when we started with my colleague the Tech Recruitment Academy and started creating content for people who would like to transition to technical recruiting. We started teaching them the IT terminology, the IT roles, the IT recruiting, and that was great fun.
So one of the things that I know about people in IT is that even though they might seem kind of like, you know, more factual and, you know, involved in that part of the story, if you scratch the surface just a little bit and you give them a chance to tell you more, there's a lot going on underneath there. Sometimes they have these incredible senses of humor. Sometimes they have these imaginations they don't talk about because they think they shouldn't. You know, it's not very corporate or whatever, but they have a lot going on. And if you listen, if you kind of push just a little bit, poke a little bit, and then listen, you'll be amazed at the stories that you hear.
Mm.
And so each one of them has their book to write, and then they take that book, they want to go out and do something, they take that book and they send it to people on their mailing list who they think might really appreciate it. Don't sell it to them, just send it to them and say, listen, in chapter, 12, I mentioned something about this that you might remember and find interesting. So I thought I would share it with you. And and then maybe you send them another email or whatever, if you have something that you want to tell me about it, I would be so happy to hear. And then, so you start reaching out to people like on your mailing list, and maybe you do that in little spurts or whatever. But it's an opportunity when you're changing paths and you've got your story, when you write your book, when you put it out there, to get your personal brand out there and make those connections.
Awesome. Well, the personal brand is so important. We are not mentioning it yet again, and I guess that just underlines the importance of working on the personal brand. Each of us has it, as you said. So it's so important. Well, I could listen to your advice and tips and the role plays that we are going through for the next hour or two, but you are also busy. So I'm wondering, is there any kind of last advice that you would like to give to fellow CTOs, chief information officers, who may be on the job market in a few months, are not looking for a job just yet, but they are getting ready for the next opportunity? What would you like to share with them?
So one of them is to keep your eyes open. I happen to like LinkedIn. I think LinkedIn works pretty well in terms of helping people, meet other people or just see what people are putting out there. What are they writing? Maybe start commenting. Like if you see something interesting, start commenting and wait for, at some point, someone will write back to you and then you can write back to them. Say something maybe a tiny bit provocative and see what somebody says and see if they reach out to you. Very often someone will reach out. See how people want you to help them, because that's what they want, right? And then you make that connection, and that connection helps you to make other connections. But it's basically keeping your eyes open and looking around. And I would not start out by, oh my God, I got to, get my resume up to date. And you don't know what your resume is going to be until you see what the job is, because you might write 20 different resumes. If there were 20 jobs, they might require 20 different resumes. Are you going to need to do 20? Probably not, but you might need to do 4 or 5 because, you want to show that you are the person for that position and that you have this special thing. And oh, by the way, I wrote this book. Maybe I think